the chairman. I have the pleasure to facilitate this wonderful network. And I also have now the pleasure to give an introduction presentation, provide some facts about the most recent trends. I'm sorry that we have it in English, but with German we would only reach a certain round of people, and I hope for your understanding. Whenever you're not too comfortable in asking questions in English, please raise your hands, ask them in German, that will be very fine. So, new oil price, feed price, milk price, what does it mean? Well, you know, we have a dairy chain. It starts with the feed somewhere here, it ends over with the consumer over here. And the nice thing, this is a dairy farmer from Pakistan, where Sadia is from, and this is probably the best representative of the world average dairy farmer. We estimate the size of 1.4 cows per farm. This is a world average dairy farmer, and we have around 150 million of those. 150 million. And we have made an estimate that probably every 7th or 8th persons on the world is living on a dairy farm. So dairy is employing and facilitating the livelihoods of millions of people. One thing what we have all to realize, I think, is that we don't live on an island any longer. It's over. So you see here's a little island over there, right? And this thing, by rising sea levels, get a house on the beach. And that's what happened for the dairy sector in Europe, because this is a very simple chart. This is the world market price for milk, 96 to 2007. This was our price, and suddenly the prices shoot over ours, and suddenly prices rise in Germany. And some people say that the way they rise, the way they fall, that's something what we will look into now. I've outlined the presentation in 4 parts. I want to explain the IFCN concept, the trends, the outlook, and end with some questions. I have over here a short map about what we think the world dairy sector looks like. Our network is around 10 years old. We have a mission, and the mission is create a better understanding of milk production worldwide. Milk production is done so differently in different parts of the world. Mr. Lee is doing it different than Mr. Saha, or Mr. Garcia is doing it different here than Mr. Kozak. And this is Dambi here collecting data in Uganda for a typical dairy farm. Some people tell us saying, hey, your mission is for a research network far too simple. And I was quite lucky to find this joke, right, from a guy in India. He sent it to me saying, well, there was a survey of the UN, and the UN asked, would you please give us your opinion about solutions on food shortage in the rest of the world? Is that a relevant question? Is there food shortage somewhere in the world?
Yes.
We have 800 million people who are hungry, and probably the number is increasing. But this survey was a big failure for different reasons. In Africa, the people did not really know what food meant. In Europe, nobody knows what shortage was. In China, nobody knows what opinion means, because they only have one. The Middle East had very difficulty to understand what a solution can be, right? And the United States didn't really know what the rest of the world means. I communicated this joke with Ed, and Ed told me that we are right with this joke. Now, I think we are running with a tremendous speed into globalization, right? And if we fail by answering simple things and help people to understand each other, I think we will fail. So I think we may be with our mission on the right track. This is the status of the network, and the red dots represents the countries where we made progress in the network establishment this year, and so far our work represents 95% of world milk production, and we are quite proud of that. These are the research partners, university people coming together. We have institutional partners, University Kiel, FAO, European Union, And we have a number of agribusiness companies who support the network with questions and financial contribution to make our work. So let's now move into the trends. Well, this is a chart you've seen on the invitation, right? This is the oil price the last 20 years, and well, it stopped now here at 120. At the moment, I think it's more 240, right? And the nice, funny thing is, if we are doing predictions, saying there have been people saying, well, once we had burned 50, they said, well, we might see the 100 in 5 years' time, right? But the most likely trend is, if we are climbing a hill like that, well, at the moment, the most likely thing, it continues. So what happens? We see an increase of oil prices by a factor of 4 or 400% since the year 2002. A little bit later, 4 years later, we see a sudden jump of feed prices by only 100%. Only 100% yet. And the milk price, it depends where you start counting. 2002, 2006, we talk about the world market price increasing by a factor of 3 to 4, or by just 75%. Do we live in a new world? Yes, we live in a new world. Who has caused that? Well, the consumer. This is a world map where the world consumer, the world population lives. It becomes very visible that there are regions where rich people live, and there are regions where a lot of people live, and that's here. And there we have changes. And the key driver why we are short of oil, feed and milk is that we increase population, and these people get richer, and if they get richer in Asia, they consume more per capita. A very simple view on the drivers is, take the example of grains. In the past, production growth was faster than demand growth, so prices declined. And now the growth demand is bigger than the production of grain, so price increase. And to really now understand the drivers, sometimes mathematical formulas are quite easy. The supply of grain is a function of hectares multiplied yield. Very simple. So, land is basically a function of what's available on the planet, or what we could make more available, but it's more or less fixed. The crop yield is a function of technical progress, of the intensity we have on the weather, on the water resources, etc., etc. There's not too much change over there recently. And the demand for grains, basically there are three sorts: food, feed and fuel. And the food demand has something to do with the number of people and the per capita consumption. The feed demand has something to do with the people and basically their demand of animal proteins. And the crop use for energy has something to do with oil price and with the energy policy. And now we basically have three drivers here in this case which has changed the formula. The oil price has changed, the energy policy has changed, and the income growth changed, the higher demand for animal protein, and suddenly we are short. No rocket science in here. Some people say, hey, is there an exchange rate effect? This is a world market price for milk, again the chart. This is 10-year history annual prices, and this is 2006, 2007, and 2008 monthly prices. And this is the exchange rate. And we saw a devaluation of 40%, but nevertheless, if we look on this chart in euro, we still have a tremendous volatility. Reasons for the milk price change, it's again like we see, strong growth to rise in per capita increase, per capita consumption, and supply not able to catch up due to various policies, climate conditions, etc., etc. And some people ask now, saying, hey, what was the reason for the up? They're very simple. Three shocks. Stocks are empty, buyers panic and build stocks, and climate has caused in some parts of the world a drop of milk production. And the main driver for that was 2 million tons, this is our estimate, or 0.3% of world milk production. So such little quantity has caused the up, the tripling of prices. And now the down, it's very simple. Overall, when prices are rise, farmers produce more, consumers consume less. Very simple story over the year. what the IFCN is now working on is saying, how fast do these